Hello, and welcome to our Creative Shift conversations. Over the next few weeks, I'll be chatting with artists who took part in Creative Shift 2025. I've brought together some small groups of artists and others I've had one-to-one conversations with, all about sharing their experience of how the course was for them. My hope is that these conversations give you a genuine insight into what Creative Shift is like, what members took from it, and how it's influenced their practice since. If you're considering joining us this year, hopefully hearing from some past participants can help you to decide whether the course sounds like it's right for you. I hope you enjoy the conversations. So today I'm joined by Julie and Louise, who were previous participants on Creative Shift. So thank you both for joining me here today. Thank you. And so I would love to start right at the very beginning and ask you both, what was your practice like before you joined Creative Shift? What was happening in your practice at the time?
You want to go first, Louise?
Yeah. So I have done Creative Shift twice. The first time in 2023. And at that time I had some specific question I wanted to work through about my art. I noticed that it was becoming a lot more abstract. And that was something that I wanted to have a good think about. And so I came to Creative Shift at that time, really to work through that question. And I was drawn to it because I saw a video of Sally Ann saying that it was not a practical course, it was very introspective. And I thought, this is what I need. I need to set aside some time to have a good think about myself and my art. And we'll probably chat a bit more in a minute about the things that we discovered during that, but I got a lot from that first time. And in 2025, so that was a couple of years later, I decided to do it again. And things were very different this time. I didn't have any particular questions that I needed to work through, but my life was about to change in a big way because I was about to retire from my job in healthcare and have much more time for my art. And I just really wanted a kickstart, really. I wanted to kickstart my creativity. I wanted to get into a more creative mindset. I wanted to get ready for that change. And I knew that I would get something from it, but I didn't know what it would be for that second time. I just knew it would be something good. I knew it would be different from the first time because I was different. I was in a different place in my life. And I just really went with it. And that's what happened the second time.
Okay, so I can't wait to dig into that a little bit more. Yeah, Julie, if I can hop over to you, how did you, what drew you to the course?
Well, for me, I have a good friend who told me that she was going to be a coach on the course with Lucy. And I had known her for another Zoom group that we had met. We were still meeting once a month. We've been meeting for almost 5 years. That's crazy. But anyways, she talked about how it had changed how she was looking at things. I was looking for something. I didn't need to know how to do something anymore. I was more, why am I doing this? Why am I drawn to certain things? Why am I painting? Why am I an artist? Why do I feel like doing this? And it was interesting, like I think I've said before when we were chatting, is that you have to do the work. And I had made myself a commitment to do the work to this one. So sometimes when you do courses, you go like, okay, first 2 weeks are fun, and then you let it slip off. But I made sure I did the work on this one. I did it in 2024 and then again in 2025. And 2025, I thought, oh, maybe it'll be easier. But I found 2025 more difficult because I was able to go deeper into the questions. And I think maybe I was a little more comfortable with answering them, or I think the knowledge perhaps from 2024 was still with me. And so 2025 gave me then another layer or another deeper, I went deeper into why I'm doing it. But the one thing I can add to this is that it not only affected my art, it affected my life. And it affected how I was dealing with lots of things in my life, my family, different situations I'm involved with. So I found it very powerful that way and bringing me forward.
The tools that we offer, the tools that I've put together, they are so, we know that art and life are so interlinked and so closely connected, you know, so that's why we start at one with that deep dive.
Yeah, your questions really, I guess prompts is more a better term than questions. Prompts really resonated with me. I think sometimes you get them when you get what you need, right? When you need it. And for me, it allowed me to sort of do a little investigation as to why I got caught in the patterns I did, right? And from some of the classes, I think if I can just continue with that thought, or do you want me to? So one of the things I'm a CPA, so I'm an accountant by profession. So I'm built with balances and checks and all of this stuff. So even being an artist, sometimes I'm very tight. So what Creative Shift taught me is to let go, let the power of play and just experimenting that way. Because I was not good. I had everything I had to do. I had to be perfect. Or had to be finished. It's going to be something that was going to be finished and it was going to be on the wall or in a show or something. And it taught me that not really. Sometimes I just want to experiment over here and try different things. I didn't necessarily have to be a painter or an artist. I could, take some fabric. I could do whatever. So it allowed me, I think Creative Shift by the prompts let me allow myself to sort of be creative, just be a creative person and not necessarily a painter. But I will say my art has loosened up like in the year and a half, like so tremendously that a lot of people that know me have commented on it that, wow, you're still, you were good, you were nice before, but boy, we really like what you're doing now. So I think that's Creative Shift because that's really the main course I've taken since this has happened. There you go.
It's so interesting, isn't it? It's that, through the play week, it is really the way into our experimentation and exploration. It is the way that we start digging into that deeper level of, well, what's inside us? This really makes me think, Louise, about your work on the course. Would you share a little bit about your experience of the course? I'm thinking of your sketchbook from this year.
Yeah. So my life was quite like yours, Julie. I was in a job where had to stick to appointment times. Excuse me. There was no room for mistakes. Couldn't really play so much. It was quite serious. And that comes out in your art, because as you were saying, Sally Ann, your art and your life are so intertwined. And so the first time I took Creative Shift, that became very obvious to me right near the beginning when we did our mind mapping. And I think the first time the mind mapping was the most important thing for me. But the second time, although it wasn't really a practical course as such, we introduced in that year the sketchbooks or playbooks or visual journals or whatever you want to call them. And I had always resisted sketchbooks before because for one, I don't tend to sketch. I'm not a sketcher. And that word sketchbook was making me think that I had to do it a certain way. And two, like yourself, I thought, well, if I'm going to all this trouble, it might as well be a finished piece, and I didn't have a lot of time for art. So I felt like I was squeezing it in and I don't have time to play and explore. So really, that was a huge eye opener for me that year. I loved the sketchbooks. I got really into them. I'm still enjoying them. I'm still using them a lot. I'm still really enjoying. I love the fact that what goes in my sketchbook isn't ever going to be a finished piece of work. And so it just frees me up to do whatever I want in them. So
definitely.
That was a really important part of the course for me.
And I think, Sally Ann, you calling them playbooks. sorry, you
Yeah.
call them playbooks. You don't call them sketchbooks. And that really helped, that just changing the terminology.
Yeah. So would you say for you both then that the play week was the week that something kind of shifted for you? Was there any other of the modules that felt important, or what you noticed from?
Oh, me, was the pause week. The pause week was so powerful because it gave me permission just to take a break. And I found, because I think we're on, like for you, Louise, it sounds like you were the same. We're on a treadmill almost. And even though, you know, when you're retired, you still have that mentality because you've lived that life for so long. And the pause week was really powerful. And I still use it. I use it all the time in different things. And I don't beat myself up if I feel I need a break like I used to.
Yeah. And for me, as well as the play week, we had a week where we talked about outer field. I don't know why I didn't realize this was so important before. I have no idea. It was so simple. And it wasn't until that week that I realized when I am stuck, the most important thing I can do is just go out and do something for myself that doesn't involve my art, but just sort of recharges me, recharges my creativity. And it could just be a nice walk in nature, or going for a swim, or going to the beach, or I know Sally Ann, you like to go to the garden centre, and there's always inspiration. I become unstuck when I do these things, and I don't do them with a view to. I don't do them because I think I'm going to see something I do see things that spark ideas, but I don't take notes. I don't do any sketches. I don't even take photos. When I go on my field trips or artist dates, whatever you want to call them, I just go and do something fun. And when I come back, I realize I'm unstuck. My brain's been working on it while I'm doing something else. And the answer comes. And it just sounds so obvious, but until we did that week and really thought about it, that wasn't something that I was giving myself much time to do.
Yeah. I think
That's
it really
true.
opens up it really opens up the creative practice as a whole, doesn't it? And you start looking at yourself and your life as this, you know, a creative life, and not just when we're in the studio with a brush in our hands. You know, we are artists throughout every area that we touch. And I think once we have an understanding of that, you can really start to curate a life that feeds you. You know, it feeds you, it feeds practice. Okay, so what, considering those sort of things that influenced your work and kind of shifted you along, what does your practice look like now? What's still active in your practice today? Julie, can I come back to you?
Sure. I think one of the things I really loved about Creative Shift 2025 was when we built that big concertina book. And I still have it. And as most people that know me, I'm a girl of the forest. I was probably like a fairy or a pixie in another life. And I'm very fortunate. I live in almost a forest. And so every morning we walk in the forest with the dogs and so on and so forth. So I paint forests. I paint trees because no matter what else I want to paint, it's always a tree in there. So, but for me, I really found that as a useful guide, and I will come back to it to remind me what I liked about it, what I do. Sometimes when you drift off, or you get, like you said, Louise, your outer circle gets nattering in your head with things you don't really need to know about, but we do because we're human. I can come back, and I just have that one, like I actually put an extra section on it because I got really going on it. And I'll just come back and go through that, and it'll remind me what is important to me and what makes me feel most like me. So I love that part.
This is what I absolutely love about Creative Shift, that they're such practical tools. You know, I love that you can go out and feel, you know, a little bit ungrounded and out of sorts, come back and actually put your hands on this physical thing that just recenters you and takes you back to who you are. You remember the time you did that. you remember the feeling, and it's just like, I mean, it feels like magic, and it's simple to do, but unless we take the time and we start, really getting under the skin of these things, of what it is that we love, and make the practical tools, then I think it's easy just to go about our day and not really even notice that these things are, happening and what we need around us.
Yeah, and it's grounding, right? So we need something almost like a touchstone. I find personally, and I come back and I have it in my studio, and it sits on a desk all wound out, and but I see it, and then it brings me back. So
I mean, they're just personal reference books, aren't they? You've created it. It comes straight back to your core. There's nothing better than kind of zooming us back into that. How about you, Louise?
I find mine very calming. And I have even used mine if I feel like if I'm finding it difficult to fall asleep at night. I have even opened mine and just flicked through it, and I find it really calming.
Oh, I love that.
And
that's wonderful.
Sleep. Yeah, and it's good because you're not looking at a screen, you're not going through Pinterest or something that's going to delay your sleep further. So, yeah.
Do you find?
And you're looking at something you made. It's something you created. That was you. So, yeah, I can see how that's really calming. You should bring it upstairs, put it by my bed. Mine has sticks and things in it, though, all kinds of twigs and things.
I stuck a whole load of things in that I didn't even know. It became more like a scrapbook kind of thing. And it didn't take me long to do it. I just once you've taken the time to do a creative shift, it's like an investment in yourself. And once you are in that mindset, you can, it didn't take me long to fill my book. It wasn't like hard work. You just need to be willing to take the time out of your busy life to invest in it.
That's right. It's almost like you crack the core, right? That's what I found, is that there was a point where you're right, the shift, but it's almost like I was like an egg, and then I cracked it or something, and then everything comes out. And then it got really, I shouldn't say easy, because it wasn't easy, because you're doing your own deep dive of what's important to you. And some of that stuff is never easy. But it was more comfortable to do, right? So with the prompts kept coming and coming, then it was like it was easier to access. So, yeah.
What I'm really interested in is you've both spoken about week 2, where we made the concertina books, and they've both feels like they've both been really valuable to you. Could you share, apart from you like looking through them and sensing those calm, grounding feelings, are they in any way helping you, like with future work? How do they help you to kind of move on in terms of, looking back at them and sparking ideas? Julie, I can come back to you.
So for me, I mean, I was pretty much a limited palette girl, and one of the sections in question or prompts was like to do other things, like to bring some more color in there. I mean, I was a Payne's gray, yellow ochre girl. That was it. But starting to bring more colors in. So I would look at it every now and then when I get stuck. I'll go back and I'll see what colors was I attracted to when I was in that module. Doesn't mean I'm going to use them, but it might spark my mind to think about outside the box in a sense, because I know we all get comfortable and we all go back to that beginning. And, I reach for the same tubes all the time and the same products and all of that. But I will go back to it and say, okay, what was I excited about, in October last year or whatever? And why am I not excited about it now? Is it because it's too hard? Is it difficult? Is it, is it dangerous or something, So, and then I'll give it a whirl. If it doesn't work out, that's fine. I'll paint over it and move on, right?
What I really love about what you just described there is how you are asking yourself the questions. It's like, I think Creative Shift gives you the tools to be able to have that really important like evaluation process and
That's right.
reflection process of your own work, because sometimes we just don't know the questions to ask, do we? When
That's right.
if you've done this, then you're not sure. But yeah, I love that then, that you're really questioning yourself
Yeah.
to find out a bit, dig a bit deeper into why you're either avoiding something or why you're being pulled towards something.
That's right. And I'm asking my own questions. Sometimes I do hear Sally Ann's voice in my head asking the questions, but a lot of times I'm asking my own questions because those are the ones I need to ask, obviously, whether I like it or not.
Yeah, well, this is the thing about building a really personal practice, isn't it? A really personal
Mhm.
and sustainable practice for yourself. How about you, Louise?
So one of the things that I dislike is when I make work that doesn't feel like me. And sometimes I have so many ideas that I get distracted and I follow one thread and then another, and then I end up making something that just doesn't feel like me. And that's when I like to go back to, so it's maybe the opposite of what Julie said. I go back and look at what did I really like before, and that just reminds me, oh yeah, this is what I like, and there's not enough of that in it, or it's too different from me in some other way. And it just reminds me, when I'm too distracted, it sort of refocuses me, I think. Just going back to my
I
book.
think I think that's how I kind of see Creative Shift as a whole with all the modules, because I think, as creatives, naturally we want to try lots of things, and I actively encourage that. I encourage the play and exploration, but I think we can go off down a path, but then you start to get that feeling of, oh, what am I doing here? I've come out too far. So I love that we have those
Yeah.
anchor points that you can come back to, and it's like, oh, okay, now I'm back here, and you can find your way again. Because I think we have to reach out, don't we? We have to
Mhm.
reach out and try
Um,
things to
Mhm.
find out whether it feels like us, or, if we feel like we've gone too far. You've heard me say a lot of times, I think we need to go too far to know where too far is, so that, oh, that's just, that's feeling like something too other. So we come
Definitely.
back to our core and we go again. Is there anything, before we start wrapping up, is there anything that we haven't mentioned that you think is important, how it impacted your practice?
I think the community that you've built, I mean, not only with Creative Shift, but ongoing with Art House, but the Creative Shift community is something that's really powerful because we're all doing this kind of very personal,
Mhm.
some very, like I said, very deep work sometimes and on ourselves. But we come back together as a community, and some people are comfortable to share, some people maybe not so much, but there's always a chat or something going on that if we need help or we just need to vent or just bring it out there, the community is very welcoming and very loving and very supportive.
Mhm. You never feel alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. You know that other people are going through the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, in the other calls I've had with other participants, they've mentioned the same thing, and they were saying how it feels like a very safe space. And
Yes.
Mm.
somehow, even if we have a small group or if we have a larger group, we still manage to create this environment that feels. I think when you come into Creative Shift, even by its name, you know that you're going into a process where you're wanting change. And for us to
Yes.
have change, something has to drop. We have to drop our boundaries or something and just enter into a space that feels a bit more vulnerable.
That's right. It's like you feel, but I always feel that I have kindred spirits,
Yeah.
because we're on the same ship or vessel together, when
Yeah.
you're creating and there's a tide coming here or something, and it's how are we all going to deal with it? We all deal with it differently, right? And
Yeah.
Sally Ann's there to throw us the life preservers when we need it.
Yeah.
And nobody thinks it's weird when you say, I went to the garden centre and I found so much inspiration. Everybody knows what that means.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. We definitely all speak the same language by that. I don't mention this as part of the course, but obviously because we spend so much time together digging into your work and putting some language to it, and you just spend all these weeks talking about it and immersed in it. How has that helped, just being able to talk about your work and, like I said, put different words to it or hear from the words of others? How has that impacted your practice?
I think I'm more authentic talking about what I feel, because I'm trying to get the feelings of the forest, the feelings I feel safe. I feel safe there. I feel nurtured and all of that. So that's what I try to bring through in all my work. And even I'm doing a lot of random weaves now and using, because I'm always picking up sticks. This is a joke. Most people know about me. I'm always picking up sticks and I draw with sticks and I do that. But I'm trying to incorporate that feeling into my work more because I think it's more authentically me. And I think Creative Shift is giving me the ability to see that, but also the confidence to share it. And that to me, that's really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're reminding me of our materials and processes week, Julie.
You should see my stick collection. It's
Yeah.
amazing. I can't travel without picking up a stick.
Brilliant. So we were talking about the conversations with other participants in the group and how does that allow us to talk about our own art. I think you just feel like it gives you permission because other people are they understand you. You all feel like you're going through the same process. I think you're able to just give yourself permission then to talk about how you're feeling. You don't feel like you have to hide it. Maybe when you're in other groups that aren't to do with art, you wouldn't say some of these things, but when you're in your art group, you just feel like you have permission to just go for it and say how you're feeling and talk about your art and talk about your life and how that's affecting your art. It does definitely make it easier.
Yeah. Okay. So if there's anybody watching this and they're thinking about taking Creative Shift this year, but they're not sure, what advice would you give them?
I would say it's like giving yourself a present because you're allowing yourself to take time out of your otherwise busy life and just spend it on yourself and your art. You might not know at the start what you're going to get out of it, but you will get something really good from it. And it's definitely worth the time and effort.
Brilliant.
Definitely.
And you, Julie, what would you
say? I agree with that. I would say to people, just do it. I mean, take a chance, but be prepared to do the work. And, and give yourself that, as you said, Louise, the present, give yourself the time to devote to you. It's not that long. It's only a small portion of your life when you do that. And, you never know what you're going to get. It's a real surprise, right? But yeah. I think you'll be happy with what you get at the end. So for me, I definitely was. And I'm looking forward to the next Creative Shift. So, to see what comes up and who I am at this one.
Yeah, amazing. I feel like you both just mentioned there about you don't know what's going to happen. And I think could you each just share something about what's been surprising then for you that came up?
I've had surprises every week.
Oh,
okay. Things that in retrospect you might think, well, why did I not know that? Why had I never thought of that before? But when you don't take the time to properly think about things, then you don't think about them. So I think there were surprises every week.
Yeah. I was surprised to find. Oh, sorry, Louise.
I was going to say, what about you, Julie?
I was surprised to find out how uptight I was.
Yeah.
like how much of a perfectionist I was and how much of that kind of thing. That was a bit of a shocker the first time around. And I think like I really got stuck on Play Week. And oh my gosh, I think we talked a lot about that. I mean, I was shared it the first time I think I talked in the group was about Play Week because I didn't realize that I was afraid to play. And it, you know, so I was able that surprised me. So I learned a heck of a lot about myself with all of this. And like I said, 2025, I learned even more. And heaven knows what I'll learn in 2026.
Yeah.
It'll be fun though.
Oh, well, that all sounds exciting. I think that's a great place to wrap up. So thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure to chat to you and yeah, excited for this year. So thank you both. All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. If you'd like more information about Creative Shift, please join the waiting list and you'll find links in the copy below or in the bio, depending on where you're watching this. Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.